Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of the Trevor Ohlsen Show, episode number 92 on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. I am your host, Trevor Ohlsen. It's good to be here. How are you? How is your week going? Is it going by quick? Is it going by slow? Mine is going, I got a little creak in my neck. Creak? Is that what you say? Crink? Clink? What's the word? What is it? Creak? No, I've just I've had a headache for like 2 days. That's not 2 days. That's an exaggeration. For like 45 minutes. I don't know why I said 2 days, but a little bit of a creak. I think that's the word I'm looking for. Crink, clink, creak in my neck. I keep thinking of like a creek or a crick, whatever the phrase is. Anyway, but I got a little bit of a headache, so I took some ibuprofen, something to make the pain in my neck go away, because it's really quite annoying. But what's going on? Happy to be here. January 5th, big day tomorrow, January 6th, where we attack the Capitol. Again, yes, I was there. I was the one wearing the thing, the wolf guy, the painted wolf man. No, I just looked up the date, as I always do before the show, and I just remembered January 6th was a year ago already, where all that chaos was going on. Wild times. We're in some wild times, folks. I had to put the pop filter back up during the podcast. I listened back to some of the audio, and the plosives, the air bursting forth from my face, like P's and B's. They were smacking the mic, and it sounded terrible. So sorry about that. But so the pop filter's back on up, and we're starting off the podcast as always. Hope you guys are having a good week. Halfway through the week, because this show's on Wednesdays. Always on halfway through the week. What's been going on? I did a little fun news interview. Yesterday with local news TV6 anchor Clint McLeod, and nice dude from New York, cool guy. Just talked about the Swedish reality show and the album coming out January 14th, the Swedish reality show coming out January 16th. So a couple exciting things going on in the works, which I'm quite excited about. Excited to get the album out, just get it out, and so I can just move on to the next thing. And excited for the show to come out, to see what happens from it, and I think people dig it. So, but it was funny in the TV6 interview. They used this piece of footage of one of the contestants, John. He's on the back of a van, and he's like dancing. It was funny. You have to go watch the video. Just type in Trevor Ohlsen TV6, and then it'll come up about halfway through the video. The first video that pops up. But so that was cool. Did that. I think I'm doing another interview tomorrow with another local news station. Just to kind of get the album out there and the TV show out there, just so people are aware of them. So, but yes. This is one of those shows where I started off, where I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about at all, and I was like, I should just not do it. And then I was like, no, just click record and you'll go off. You'll have to talk because everything's recording. So, watched a really quite good movie yesterday. It's that new one with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence. I think it's called Don't Look Up, and quite good. Like, it was very, what's the word? I thought that it did a wonderful job, kind of painting the light of demonstrating the absurdity that we're living in, but in almost like it was like an alternate universe. I'll try not to give anything away for you guys who are listening or who want to go watch the show, but it was just like an alternate universe, and you were looking at this universe going, this is so fucking ridiculous and absurd, but it's parallel to so many things that have been happening currently. And so, yeah. I'm kind of concerned for our society. I am. In all seriousness. will things work themselves out? I don't know. I hope so. I hope we can work things out and we can get through this mess, because it's a bit like we're running. It's a bit like we're running, to use a workout metaphor that I'm whipping up on the go here. It's like we're on a run, like a 26.2 miler. We're doing the marathon together, friends. And it's like we're on mile 20, and we don't know how in the world we're going to make it the next 6.2 miles, because we've just used up everything that we possibly could. Now, we haven't. That's the point of it. And I've never run a marathon, so I'm just using this example as someone who's the most I've ever ran was like 8 miles, 8-ish miles. And I could not move the next day. It did not feel great, but I was happy I did it. But it's like we're running a marathon, and we're 20 miles deep, and we don't know how we're gonna make it the next 6 miles. That's kind of what it feels like. I just feel like we're in such a shift. I hear my dad playing and singing up there. That's awesome. We're in such a shift in our times with the technology. I think I need to go on a bit of a technological hiatus. Not necessarily stop doing the shows or posting, but I think I find myself falling into the pattern of constantly checking Facebook and Instagram. And I'm just falling back into that pattern. It's crazy how it's like we know it's not great for us, but we just fall back into it. It's if we're not disciplined. And I'll go through bouts where I'm really disciplined with social media, and then I'll go through bouts where I'm just on it not on it all the time, but I'm constantly checking it. Like I'm checking, what's the word? Like impulsively. Like I'm pulling it up and just like looking for notifications. I don't know. It's just not good. I don't like it. I don't like the way it's making me feel. I gotta take I gotta take a step back, reevaluate here, I think. But I'll keep posting stuff. Keep doing the old show. Like I said, I just try to do things that I dig, and I like this podcast. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I've been. I think I might have mentioned to you guys that I'm reading Will Smith's new book, Will. It's called Will, and it's quite good. I'm more than halfway done now, and he's got a crazy story, man. Will Smith has got a crazy story, and I am going to spoil some things now if you plan on reading it. But I'll just touch on a couple little points. Like and these are all, this is public knowledge, so it's not like I'm giving any of the nitty gritty details away that he talks about. But by the age of 20, he was a famous rapper, a new multimillionaire, and a Grammy Award winner. And then by the age of 22, this was so crazy to me, he literally was completely broke, and the IRS reclaimed his mansion, all of his cars, all of his motorcycles, and he owed money. And so he literally went from, because they sold millions of albums, and he made just a shit ton of money, and then he literally spent all of it. And by the age of 20, and then he started, and he just didn't know what to do then after that, and it was at like the lowest point in his life, and that's where he kind of got invited to make the pilot for what eventually became the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and ultimately led to his career in acting. But fascinating, and it was really, really, really something just to hear that part of his story, because it's like, I might have mentioned this in a previous episode about him, but it's like I look at Will Smith and I think of him as like a superhuman, like a super, literally like Superman. He's this famous dude who I only can conceptualize as being this like unstoppable, undefeated movie star. And then you read a story about him being abused by his dad, and his dad abusing his mom, and you understand that he just grew up in an ordinary, in that sense, maybe it wasn't ordinary, but maybe it was, but he just grew up in a home of abuse, a home of fear. Grew up in Philadelphia. Didn't come from a ton of money. His dad was very entrepreneurial and hardworking, and so they weren't broke by any means. They lived in a nice neighborhood in the suburbs, which he was criticized for being a rapper because most rappers were gangsters, literally. And he wasn't, and he was heavily criticized for, his use of his non-use of foul language, and it's like they said he wasn't black enough. The black community said he wasn't black enough, and the white community said he was corny. I think that's what he said. It was the white community who said that. But in general, it was just something that he fought against as a rapper. But still, let alone, sold millions of records. And then just blows it all and heads on over and ends up in LA. He starts just hanging out there. And he likes the vibe, he likes the energy, he likes the creative space that LA has to offer, which is one of the reasons why I'm going out there, because I felt that same sort of energy while I was there. And he said a great line in his book. He said something like, he said that picking the city, what did he say? The city that you live in that you choose to live in is just as important as, the partner you choose. And, I've lived in just a handful of different places, just a couple, not even a handful, a couple. I lived here and I lived in Minneapolis. And, yeah, it definitely affects how you are. It affects how you are. And that's another reason why I think it's great to travel, because traveling can throw you out of everything that you know, and you can just be thrown into a completely different world and go, oh yeah, you don't have to just operate in this one way. People are operating in a completely different way in this space. And so that's why it's so valuable to travel. One of the reasons why. So he just started spending more time in LA. He liked the city, and he started going to basically just get-togethers where a bunch of famous people were getting together, a lot of people who had a lot of power, and this whole show got thrown together very quickly, and it ended up working, and it made him into, and that's kind of where I'm at right now in his story. It's where he's currently doing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show. And he's doing really well. And not only that, but he, oh God, I'm getting a severe pain in my back. Jeez. Like an old person. I'll just massage myself here for a moment. Don't mind me. My neck's sore, my back's sore. I think I probably need to go to the chiropractor. I'm just really sore too from working out. I'm always so sore. I remember I had a guy tell me once, or asked me, he's like, do you ever, if you weight lift long enough, do you just stop getting sore? I was like, no, it's not how it works. It's like, I've been sore for 8 years. 8 years, folks. So that's kind of where I'm at right now in Will's story, where he's currently doing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and at the time too, he makes an album, his 4th album, and he makes the single "Summertime," which goes on to hit like number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 in hip hop and R&B, if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, which is kind of funny to me because like those songs to me, like I don't know, they are pretty corny, but it was just a different time, a different style back then. And he even talks about that. He's like these older songs that were hits for him. He's like, he has a hard time listening to them because they're cookie cutter, corny kind of songs. But nobody at the time was doing what he was doing. So that's what made him so revolutionary back then. That's why he went on to sell a shit ton of records. And he was kind of self-deprecating with his use of humor, and he wasn't swearing, and he was kind of silly. So he was different. That he definitely stood out. They sold him as pretty much like a clean version of hip hop that they could sell to like suburban people. Because hip hop was emerging, and it wasn't a thing yet like it is today. Like it's massive today. And it was in its infancy in that during that time when Will Smith was rapping. And so, they were trying to market it and sell it to everyone, and they couldn't do that with the more edgy edgy groups. But with Will, they were able to kind of package him as this kind of clean rapper, from what I understand. And that really worked for him, until he just fucking blew all his money. And then but then he ultimately turns it around with the new record and the new single Summertime, and does Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So that's where I'm at right now. But fascinating story, man. Fascinating story. He talks about how Quincy Jones was a huge reason setting up the show. Funny enough, I did not know that. And Quincy kept talking about, it's really something how the show came together, actually. It really is a cool story. So Will Smith is doing a show in, I think, Detroit, definitely in Michigan. And he gets a call, and the show's in like 2 days, and he's already there with his whole crew. And he gets a call, and it's Quincy Jones wants to talk to him, and he's like, "Hey, Will, I want you to come to my birthday party." And Will's like, "Cool, when is it?" And Quincy's like, "It's tonight," and it's in LA. And so Will Smith hops on a plane by himself and goes out to LA, gets out there right when it's getting dark. And so he's got a show in 2 days. He was already at Detroit where the show's happening. And now he leaves. He goes to LA to go to Quincy's birthday party. And they're just kind of pitching the show. And Quincy's basically like, "You're doing the show. You're doing this." And Will is like, "Okay." And they do an audition right there in his house, which freaks Will out, because he's like, "Quincy, give me a week, man. Like, let me look over the script. I've never acted. Let me hire an acting coach. Let me do this. Let me do that." And Quincy's like, you need a week. And Will's like, "Yeah, I need a week." And he's like, "Okay, well, in a week, this person is gonna have some type of recital to go to, so he's gonna have to wait for a week after that." And Will's like, "Great, okay, so 2 weeks, even better." And then Quincy goes, "And then this person, something's going to happen with his family, and he's not going to be able to make it, and so that's going to be another 2 weeks." And so Will goes, "Okay, so like a month from now." And then Quincy goes, "But Will, everyone who needs to be here to see you do this is here right now in this moment. What are you going to do about it?" And Will took that leap, and he looked at the script for like 10 minutes, and they did the audition, and it was a lot of improv. It was a lot of silliness and laughing and fun. And they basically signed a contract on the spot, and that's kind of how it came up. And Will talked about how, LA isn't a place of structure. It's a place where, deals get done at parties and at diners, and, they happen because of friends, and it's definitely the case. That definitely seems to be the case. Even when I was out there, LA has a type of electric loose energy. I like that. That'll be the name of the show, Electric Loose Energy. It does. LA's got this vibe to it. Now, I've only been there for literally 2 weeks. I stayed out there for 2 weeks, so I can only speak to my experience. But there is, it's the business, but it's also the beach. It's hard work, but also like sunshine and cocaine. I don't know. It's just this mixture of insane opportunity because so many people in the business are out there. But then there's also this, there's a ton of opportunity to just have too much fun, just to have a lot of fun. And so again, it's kind of loose. It's electric. It is what it is. And you can hang out in Malibu. You can go to Beverly Hills. You can go to Hollywood. You can go to all these places that literally everybody hears about in the movies. And then you get out there, and it's like, oh, this is the place. This is literally the place that the movies talk about. And when you get out there, it's at least for me, it was cool. And I've traveled enough now to where, if that would have been like the first place I had traveled to, like ever, I probably would have blown my mind. Like, wow, we're in Beverly Hills. Wow, there's the Hollywood sign. Wow, here's this, here's that. And I had traveled enough and I'd seen at least enough states and one other country at that point that that it was just kind of like another place. It was just another place, and that's kind of what happens in my experience when you start to travel. And I've been to like 30-ish states, and I've been in 2 countries. So I'm definitely not the most well-traveled person, but it just kind of becomes another place. And I don't mean that in a sort of cynical way, like, oh, just another place, but I mean it in the sense that, I kind of had the realization that no place is necessarily better than anywhere else. It's just different. And that realization really helped me, because when you never leave wherever it is that you are, when you never travel, you just kind of assume that every other place is kind of like where you're from. Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know. What is it I'm trying to say here? I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Shit. Every place is different. That's what I'm trying to circle back to. I'm trying to circle back to that. You just kind of realize that, yeah, you can live in Florida, and here's the positives and here's the negatives. Yeah, you can live in Michigan. Here's the positives, here's the negatives. You can live in Minneapolis. Here's the positives, here's the negatives. Same with LA, same with New York, same with Kansas or Tennessee or Maine, like anywhere, Sweden. And you kind of realize, you go, oh, okay, so here's some positive aspects of this place, and here's some negative aspects of it. It isn't necessarily better, it's just different. And here's what I'm trying to say. That realization took Hollywood, and it took it from the platform that it was on, from the idealized platform of my own projections, and it lowered to just, it's another place, and it's just a different place compared to every other place. So that's what I'm trying to say. Everything kind of lowers. When you never travel, you're kind of idealizing everything, and you're projecting, and you have this sort of magnificent vision of everything. But the more you travel, the more the elevated places in your imagination drop down to reality, and you're able to see them for what they are more clearly. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And so when I went out to LA for the first time, that's just how it felt. It just felt like another place. It felt, but had I not traveled, it would have felt, my projections would have skewed the lens through which I was looking at it. And it would have been a completely different experience. But I still had a great time out there, and I'm going to go live out there for a bit. And I think it's going to be cool. And I think that there's definitely lots of opportunities, and I think there's a lot of energy and a lot of creative people. And there's a lot of goods, and I think there's a lot of bads. Bads, it depends on how you look at it. You could look at as a place as a place that's more expensive. You could look at that as, okay, well, it's more expensive, so that's bad. Or you could go, well, it's more expensive, so that's going to force me to be more independent, so that's good. So it's really how you kind of look at things. I think being driven by necessity will probably be a good thing for me. I think there'll probably be moments of stress out there. I think there's moments of stress here. Stress isn't going away, no matter where you live. You can't outrun stress. You can manage it, and you can deal with it in healthy ways. And I would urge you to do that as I do myself, as I try to do what I do to mitigate any sort of stress or existential weight, so to speak. And predominantly I do that, as you know, I've said it a million times, through exercise. But I'm telling you, if you exercise hard and you get it all out, man, truly the weight of being feels lighter. That's the best way I can describe how it feels. The weight of, because being is a weight, human being is, it's like the heaviest weight you can possibly think of. It's what you're experiencing, and it's like the weight gets heavier as you get older. It's like when you're younger. I'm trying to hold back a sneeze. Don't mind me. Okay, I think I'm good. Just the one. It's like when you're younger, the weight of being, it's like an invisible weight. You're not necessarily aware of it. I wasn't. And that's probably because I was fortunate enough to have to have a good upbringing, and to have a loving family, a loving support system around me, and so that weight you don't really feel when you're supported and encouraged and loved, and it's probably different. You probably start feeling the weight at a younger age if you're experiencing, like in Will's case, domestic, if you're experiencing some type of abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological, mental abuse. It's probably very different. So I can only speak to my own experience, but as you get older and you start to experience more things, it's like the weight gets heavier, but you also realize your own ability to carry that weight can be strengthened or weakened through your daily choices. So it's like, how do you carry a heavy weight? It's like, well, you try to optimize every area of your life, and at least that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. That's kind of how I feel. It's like the weight of being feels heavier, but there's ways of mitigating that feeling, of mitigating, say, anxiety or stress or worry. And truly, a lot of it just comes down to being more disciplined physically and more disciplined mentally. Like, that's just a huge part of it. A huge part of it is, do you just allow these thoughts to come into your mind without investigation and question, and you just allow them to run rampant and cause chaos in your mind and make you worried and anxious? Or do you stop and go, what does this thought mean? Why am I thinking it? And why should I allow myself to think it if it's causing me this much stress and anxiety? Now, that can apply differently in different situations. Like, if an emergency is going on, of course, you're going to have to think about it. But say, for example, you have something that's happening in the near future, and there's nothing you can do about it until you arrive there. It doesn't serve you to worry about it the whole way there. It doesn't serve you at all. And one little trick that I've heard about, which I've read about, is that if something's bothering you, or if you're afraid of something or worried about something, think about it as hard as you can, as rationally as you can, as calmly as you can, for as long as you can, and really try to think about whatever it is that you're afraid of. Like, what's the worst that could possibly happen? And apart from some sort of catastrophic event or some sort of abuse that's going on, you can look at, those factors aside, whatever it is that's scaring you, you'll probably more than likely come to the realization that even worst case scenario, you'll go, well, you know what, if that happens, and I'll get through it and I'll survive, and I'll probably become wiser and stronger because of it. Then you can stop worrying about it. So you think about it and think about it and think about it, and then your worry will basically go away. That's what I've read about. And I do think I've tried a little bit of that. I definitely am a big believer in facing what you're afraid of, exposing yourself incrementally to whatever it is that makes you anxious, whatever it is that makes you afraid or less confident, kind of looking it right in the face a little bit at a time every day. And eventually the mountain becomes the molehill. And yes. All right, friends, we're at the end of the show. Just like that. I told you I'd ramble my way through. It's always a pleasure. If you enjoyed the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen. That's patreon.com/Trevor Ohlsen, where I do a Saturday bonus podcast, Patreon exclusive podcast every single Saturday, just like this, exclusive on Patreon. You can also sign up to get some free shit, and you can, not free shit, you gotta pay. At the point, you support the show. And, but you can get like autographs and t-shirts and Skype with me and the whole thing. So, January 14th, These Are My Memories. The new album is coming out. January 14th, and then January 16th, the Swedish television show coming out. I think you'll be able to watch that online at like SVT Play. If you type in SVT Play, Alt for Sverige, ALLTFORSVERIGE. If you type that in, Alt for Sverige, SVT Play, it should come up, and I believe you can watch it online. And so January 14th album, January 16th television show. Thanks for listening. Keep doing your thing. Hope you have a great rest of your week. I will see all of you guys on Saturday, and if not, on Patreon. I'll see all of you guys next Wednesday. Keep doing your thing. Keep moving forward, and I'll see you then.